Grendel's mother, now purposed, black-hearted, gluttonous, on a wrath-bearing visit of vengeance for her son. On his moeder da git gifron galgamorda jegan wolde, sochfulne sithsunu deoch rikan. She descended on Heorot, and fate swept on its wheel when the mother of Grendel found her way among those men. Many a hard sword from its rack among the benches was by firm hand lifted, the broad shield raised. She was all eager to be out of the place now she was discovered, and escape with her life. She grasped a man quickly, the king's good friend, Ashera, clutched him to herself, and was away to the fen. Beowulf was not there. Separate lodging was assigned after the treasure-giving to the Geat champion. Heorot was in uproar. Grendel's hand had gone with her. Speedily Beowulf was summoned to the chamber. The man, excellent in warfare, walked across the hall, flanked by his escort. The floor timbers boomed, to make his address to the Danish king, and asked of him whether the night had been pleasant after call so urgent. Do not ask about pleasure. Sorrow has returned to the house of Denmark with the death of Ashera, my closest counselor, keeper of my thoughts, strongest of warriors, famed in battle. All men of birth and merit should be as Ashera. A bloodthirsty monster has murdered him in Heorot, glorying in her carrion. She has taken vengeance for the previous night. Revenge is her motive. I have heard it said by those who live in the country that they have seen a pair of huge moor haunters, otherworldly ones. They know the man of old by the name of Grendel and know of no father, but the others in woman's shape. Mysterious is their region. Wolf fells, wind-picked moors, a torrent of water falls from a lowering bluff to an underground flood. Not far from here the mere lies, dark, overhung with hoarfrost, a fire in the water. The hart that roams the heath when the hounds have pressed him may hide in the forest his antlered head, but the hart will die there, sell his life on the brink rather than swim. Unholy that place is, and the wind stirs up vile storms there, whipping swirling waters which climb to the clouds and make the skies weep. Our sole remedy is to turn again to you. Then Beowulf spoke, son of Ecgtheow. Bear your grief, wise one. We must all expect to leave our life upon this earth, but must earn some renown if we can before death, as did your friend Ashera. Daring is the epitaph for every fighting man. Det betrichtgumen unliftgendum efter selest. We shall rapidly find where this Grendel's mother's gone. The old king leapt up and offered thanks to God, to the Lord Almighty, for what this man had spoken. Steeds with braided manes were bridled then. The hero and the monarch rode out shining together, while a troop of shield-bearers marched at their side. The trace of her going, the track across the plain, was clearly to be seen on the fog-bound moor. The way she had carried the lifeless body, flailing, of the man who meant most to Hrothgar, the great king. Reconnoitering ahead, Beowulf saw some ash trees hung above a hoary rock, beneath which the water was turbid with blood, with warm upwellings. And there they found, boiling with crimson, the head of Ashera on the edge of the cliff. Then the war horn sang an eager battle cry, and Beowulf put on, unanxious for his life, the mailed shirt, bulwark to his bone-framed chest, a silver helmet to strike down through swirl of water, and the hilted sword that Hrothgar's spokesman Unferth, yes, the taunter of the swimming match, had given him in this his hour of trial, its name Hrunting, poison twig patterned, never failing the hero whose hand took it up. It would seem that Unferth had forgotten his sarcasm spoken before when eloquent with wine. Then Beowulf spoke, son of Ejithyaw. I am eager to begin, great son of Healfdene. Remember your promise that if I should die, you will assume the place of father towards me, and then let Unferth take back this blade he has given me. He is widely known, and must not lose his glory. He then dived into the mere, not waiting for an answer, and the surging waters closed over his head. He swam until noon, before reaching the lake floor. The grim and greedy guardian of the flood, keeping her hungry 100-season watch, discovered at once that one from above, a human, had sounded the home of the monsters. She felt for the man, and fastened upon him her terrible hooks, but the mail shirt so ringed him she could not drive her fierce fingers through the mesh of that harness masking his limbs. While she bore him, pinioned, down to her lair, he could not draw his sword, for throngs of ripping tusks, sea beasts, attacked him. Suddenly, there was no water. He was in a vaulting chamber, saw a gleam and flashing, a bright fire, blazing clear. He then saw the size of this sea-demon woman. He dashed out good Hrunting with such strength and violence that the ring-banded sword streamed out loud on her head. But the glittering metal refused to bite or hurt her at all. The edge had failed, though before, in all conflicts, it had carved through the helmet of each chosen man. Resolute again, Beowulf flung his sword to the ground, went for Grendel's mother, seized her by the shoulder, and with mounting anger swung the desperate enemy till she fell to the floor. She promptly repaid this present of his. Her boy was to be avenged, her only son, toppled his weariness, drew out her knife, and had not the mail shirt o'erspreading his back well shielded his life, Ejithyao's son would have ended his venture 'neath vastness of earth. Then he saw, among the armor on the wall, a giant sword from former days. This wonder was so enormous that no other man would be equal to bearing it in battle play. It was a giant's forge that had fashioned it so well. The Geat champion, shaking now with war rage, caught it by the rich hilt, and careless of his life, brandished its circles, and brought it down in fury to take her full and fairly, biting into the neck. The blade sheared through the backbone. She fell to the ground. The sword was gory. He was glad at the deed. Lichte Seleoma leocht innerstud, Efna swaf hefna hadre skineth rodores candel. Light glowed out, and illumined the chamber with a clearness such as the candle of heaven sheds in the sky. And Beowulf saw where Grendel, wasted through his wound in the battle of Heorot, his body gaping, open, lay waiting for his death. The hard-swung sword struck. The settlement was made. He him Theslayanna forjald. From above, Hrothgar's men descried soon enough the water stirred, turbid, and marbling the surface. They thought it unlikely they'd see once again the prince return triumphant to seek their famous master. Surely the she-wolf had done away with him. The 9th hour had come, so the keen-hearted Scyldings abandoned the cliff-head, homebound with their king, but the Geats sat on and stared at the pool, despairing to ever see Beowulf again. The blood it had shed now made the giant sword dwindle. melt as the ice when spring's frost's drip unfastens. Grendel's mother's hot blood had melted it, burnt it, so venomous the hell fiend who died in that hall. Then the Geat champion, taking only that hilt, bristling with jewels, the sword Hrunting and Grendel's vile head, struck up through the water, through the rough wave swirl, came strongly to land, where the watchers there, waiting, huge in relief, quickly loosened his helmet and shirt of fine mail. Then, bold as kings, carefree of heart, they carried the head, fore to a spear, retracing their steps to the gold-giving hall. They presented the head, held up by the locks, man-handled in where the men were all drinking. A hideous sight for the thanes, and their queen. An awesome thing. They eyed it well. Beowulf presented himself to King Hrothgar. "Behold, my trophies here, great son of Healfdene. Now I say you may sleep in Heorot free from care, both young men and guard, my lord of the Scyldings." Hrothgar gazed on the head and hilt before he spoke. The hall silent. "Beowulf, my friend, your name shall resound through the nations of earth that are furthest away. It is granted your people you shall live to be comfort and bulwark to your heroes. The noon of your strength shall last for a while now, but we know in little time flame, drowning, spear, or ugliness of age will conquer you finally, O bravest of warriors. So it is with myself. But now join those here seated and rejoice in your feast, O man clad in victory." Next day, the sunlight shaking out above the shadows, each Geatish atheling was eager to be home, and Beowulf ordered the sword Hrunting be returned to Unferth, accounting it formidable in fight, finding its edges true. Ample was his spirit. That was Merdig's edge. The fighting men were armed up, ready for the journey, and Beowulf said, "We sailors come from far, wish to say how keenly we desire to return to our own lord, Hygelac. We were right royally treated, and if ever on this earth I can earn of you more of your love than I have so far done, if ever neighbouring tribes intend your harm, I'll bring you a grove of grey-tipped spears, if you are short of men. We find many friends here." Hrothgar thanked him, said, "As I come to know your temper, friend Beowulf, the more it pleases me. You have brought it about that both sea Geats and spear Danes shall share out peace. Your people, I know, always open-hearted, are firm towards enemies, and fast to their friends." Riding at anchor, the wave-skimmer stayed for her owner and lord. The coast guard saw the heroes depart as he had seen them come, graciously greeted them, rowed down to meet them. The soaring prow, high-masted, moved out to divide the deep water, skimming left Denmark behind, furled back the waves, foam-throated seafarer, planing till they sighted the headlands they knew. The Geatish harbour guard, ever scouring in their lookout for these men, quickly moored the broad-ribbed boat in the sand. No pounding breakers should drive away again those darling timbers. News of Beowulf's return was brought to King Hygelac, the floor cleared for his band by order of the king. Carrying the mead cup was Hareth's daughter, presenting the wine bowl to the hand of each Geat. Hygelac then made courteous inquiry. Curiosity burned to hear the adventures of these men. "I pled with you continually never to meet with that murderous creature, but to let the North Danes themselves bring an end to their Grendel feud." Beowulf spoke. "Gracious Hygelac, it has been spoken aloud what battle occasion befell me and Grendel. When heaven's jewel, day's glory, had glided from the world, The dire dusk fiend came down to seek us out. The crimson-toothed slayer would not leave that gold hall empty-handed. He groped out his greedy palm. I grasped it, and, tale too long to tell, that hand stayed behind in the hall of Heorot. After the ensuing dusk came, quick upon its heels, the mother of Grendel moved to her revenge. She struck down a warrior, carried the body to the mountain torrent's depths in hideous embrace. I found in the surges that grimmest of guardians. After hand-to-hand struggle, the whirlpool boiled with the blood of the mother. I'd slashed off her head in that hall underground with a sword of huge size. Oh, the great King Hrothgar rewarded me well with a heap of treasures, all I desired. Now, O bravest of kings, I present them to you. Then Hygelac, responding, bid them bring in the sword heirloom of Geatland, elaborate in gold. Bid them place it in the lap of Beowulf, son of Ecgtheow. Also bestowed on him 7,000 hides, a chief's stool, and hall. Before, Beowulf's family, the house of the Wymondings, only held rank of sword. Now inherited a birthright, the greatest region of all the wide kingdom.